Hello there. How are you? Welcome to Prissy's place. Ah, look at you. What are you listening? You're on television. Yeah, say hello. Did you say hello? Is that good enough? Okay, okay. What's new? All right. Okay. Well, that's Prissy's performance for this evening. That cat is something, isn't she? Well, we love to have her here, and we love Prissy, and we love to care for all the animals. I was telling Frank a minute ago, oh, incidentally, this is Hidden Meanings from the Christian Village Church in Forked River. But I was telling Frank a minute ago how much respect I have for the people from Greenpeace. And we were watching them on TV, and this whale got caught in this fishing net. And those guys go out with a little rubber raft or some kind and cut this thing loose, and it's just spouting and shouting and going out to sea, and they're clapping. They're good people, and you should really support Greenpeace out of Washington, D.C., and also the people for the ethical treatment of animals. And there's a lot of people say, oh, we do this, we don't support the kids. No, that's not true. Once you can start focusing your compassion on nature, you got to start there before you're ever even going to get to that other point. You got it, because that starts to give you a good feeling inside. That's what this Aquarian age is, the new age. It's an age of peace and a oneness with nature and with God. And once you get into a oneness with nature and his animals and all of those things, the compassion for people just follows in a tremendous way. Try it. The Christian Village Church is at 134 Route 9 in Forked River. Okay, and I'm there every Sunday morning and Sunday evening and Tuesday evening and Friday evening and so forth, and I'll tell you all about that. But we're here with the Hidden Meanings, and tonight we're going to cover something. We're going to allow you to step in and go behind the words of the 23rd Psalm. Now, you've heard that. That's the one where you go in the, you know, if you go to funerals, and you go to funerals and everybody bows their head, and the guy says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And you're there with trying to get, and you just got turned down for your second mortgage. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters, restoreth my soul. Leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will feel no evil, for thy rod and staff comfort me. Thou prepares a table for me in the presence of mine enemies, anoints my head, surely goodness and mercy, and on and on and on. And you've heard that 1,000 times, but you have to understand something. That thing, as all of biblical prose and poetry, is written in symbols by ancient people of the East. And that's the way they write. And that's the way they wrote. And that's the way you talk. You say, come on over here, Frank, we're going to shoot the bull. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to get a gun out and blast some black animal's head off? Or are you going to have a conversation? Well, if you're reading the Bible and they were saying they're going to shoot the bull, you'd say, well, they were sacrificing an animal. No, they weren't. They're having a conversation. What about you shot his mouth off? Man, there's blood all over the wall. No, it isn't. He just talked out of turn. What about she spilled the beans? Man, there's beans all over the floor. No, she just simply said something she shouldn't have said. And you know, there's a million of them. We have a symbolic language, and as soon as you hear that symbolic language, you understand it. And yet the Bible tells you it's parable. God speaks in parable, Psalm 78. Jesus never taught but in a parable, Mark 4:34. The Old Testament is allegorical, Galatians 4:24. Wisdom is understanding the dark sayings of the ancients, Proverbs 1:6. So what are you taking this stuff literally for? It's not written literally. And why isn't it written literally? Because God has to speak to the people in China, and has to speak to you, and has to speak to the people in Africa, and has to speak to the people in Bolivia. And so he uses symbols, because desert is a desert, and everybody in every language understands what a desert is, and when you understand the symbolic language, you know it means confusion. So when Jesus is in the desert, he's not in a real desert. That's what you have pictures in your church. Jesus in the desert. He's going through the cactus bushes, you know, and the guy with the red suit's chasing him. That's ridiculous. That's superstition. When Jesus is in the desert, it means he don't know which way to go. I don't know what to do. Have you been in the desert many times? I know I have. Man, everything looks alike. What am I going to do? And the devil's tempting him. That means you hear that voice in your head. You know, you had a conversation all day today, didn't you? Can you tell me, you remember me when you're getting ready to go to bed and you're having that conversation with you in your head. You'll hear that little voice in there talking, and you'll answer back. Who are you talking to in there? Hey, yeah, I agree with you. You know, all the stuff goes on all day, all night long. It's the human mind. So let's take a look at the Psalm 23. See what we get. The Lord is my shepherd. Now, come on, what are you? Do you know the Lord is your shepherd? Say, well, yeah, it's nice to say that, but you're walking around all screwed up, got sick, you got all kinds of trouble. You say, well, I don't know where he is. If he's guiding me, I'm going off the wrong track. You've got to identify the word Lord. Jesus says the kingdom of God is within you. The Lord manifests inside of you as the higher mind. Okay? The higher mind. The consciousness that is not carnal but is divine. If you obey Jesus and let your eye be single, you rise to the higher mind. That's the pineal gland, above the pineal gland of the brain. That's why Jacob said, I've seen God face to face, and I'll call the place Peniel. So the Lord manifests by activating the higher mind. That's why Jesus says, cast your net to the right side. When you do that, you activate the higher mind, and that is the mind of the Lord. That's why Paul said, I have the mind of Christ. That means in meditation, he lifted himself above the lower mind to the higher mind. How do I know that Paul meditated? Because he was a Nazarene, and he shaved his hair off to signify that nothing that grows out of the carnal flesh is what he plugs into. He was bald. He was bald. He walked around with a robe on. Acts 18 says he shaved his head. Acts 21 says he shaved the heads of all of his disciples. And the reason was to signify that what grows out of me is not what I'm listening to. I am going into nirvana. I am going into nothingness. So the Lord then is the higher mind. So then if you realize that my higher mind is my shepherd, now you got something to go for, ain't you? You don't have to say, well, the Lord is my shepherd. Well, how am I going to get to him? He's up in space somewhere. Don't believe that. He's within you. Jesus says the kingdom's within you. So if the Lord is your shepherd, and if the higher mind manifests as the Lord when you meditate, then you can know, hey, my higher mind will give me direction for my life. Why don't you try it? In meditation, when you get above the thoughts of the mind into nothingness, the higher mind starts to plug in, and when you come back down to earth, you have direction for your life. You'll know what to do. So that's what it means. So we could say the higher mind is my shepherd. My higher mind is my guardian. It says, I shall not want. What does that mean? I shall not want. What did Jesus say in Matthew 6? Take no thought. Because when you go up into the higher realm of the mind, you separate from the thoughts of the mind, and where there is no thoughts, there is no desire, and you start then to live in that divine realm of higher meditation, and you are not consumed by the desires of the flesh. So you shall not want. Now it says, he makes me to lie down in green pastures. He, again, is the male, and the male is the mind. Okay? She, being female, would be the emotions. He, the mind, that's the higher mind, makes me to lie down. Lie down means meditation. It means to bring yourself down, okay? It says in the Psalm, commune with your heart on your bed, lie down. That's meditation, okay? So now we've got out of this already, is that the higher mind will guide you, and you will lie down in your meditation. He will bring you to green pastures. Okay, green pastures. What's that mean? Well, the color green, it says in Revelation that God's throne is like unto emerald. Green is the color of astral consciousness. It's consciousness that is above the thoughts of the mind. So he gives you to lie down or to, in meditation, come into that place of astral consciousness. See that word pastures? Pasture is where the sheep feed. That means you will receive that which feeds unto your spirit. Wisdom, understanding. So it's astral consciousness, and it's food for your mind that comes from the higher realm of God. Okay? He leads me into green pastures. So now we've gotten that first one. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures, which means that the higher mind will guide you through meditation into the astral consciousness where you will be fed instruction for your life, that which comes from God. Now, isn't that a lot better just sitting there reading this kind of nice poem and not knowing what the heck and how you're going to make it work in your life? He says, he leads me beside still waters. Still waters. Okay, still is another meditation where you take no thought. So we'll say consciousness is still, and waters is truth. In mysticism, water means truth. So now we got that whole first and second verse done, okay? The higher mind will guide you. The Lord is my shepherd, okay? I shall not want, because you'll be separated from desire. He makes me to lie down. That means in your meditation, He will bring you to green pasture, which means in astral consciousness you will be fed wisdom and understanding, and He will lead you besides the still waters, which means the consciousness which will be still will bring you that which is gentle truth and understanding to your soul. That's what that first two verses mean. He says, He restores my soul. To restore your soul means bringing you back to the Father's house, which is the higher consciousness where you formerly did dwell. Remember the story of the prodigal son? He was in the pig pen. That way you're living, all of the confusion, all of the anger in your house, all of the anxiety, all of the stress, all of the screaming is not the way you're designed to live. But in order for you to get out of the pig pen of the lower mind, you've got to raise yourself in meditation up into the higher mind, where you will be free from that, and you will be above the thoughts and all of that screaming and raging. And as your higher mind develops in strength, then indeed your soul will be restored. That means you will be restored to the higher mind and taken out of the lower mind. He leads me in the path of righteousness. Here's an important one. Righteousness. Righteousness means the right hemisphere. How do you spell hemisphere? H-E-M-I-S-P-H-E-R-E. The right hemisphere. That's why Jesus Christ said, if you want to catch fish, cast your net over to the right side of the boat. He meant in meditation, you shut down the left side when you take no thought and you turn on the right side. That's righteousness. It says in 1 Kings 6:8 that when they were building the temple, which temple you are, they put the door to the holy place on the right side. And it says here then, for His name's sake. Now that's very, very important. It doesn't mean for Jesus' sake. It doesn't mean Jehovah or anything like that. In the Bible, name means way. And what that is saying is in the way that He directs. The sake of that which you have obeyed and followed, entering in yourself, where Jesus says the kingdom is within you. So there we have it. The higher mind, the Lord, is your shepherd. It will guide you. If you go into meditation and touch the higher mind, you'll start getting wisdom from that 90% that you never use, okay? You shall not want, because desire will be gone when you lift yourself above thought. You lie down, or you're into meditation, in green pastures, which means in astral consciousness, you will be fed the food of wisdom and understanding from God. He leads you beside still waters. In other words, there is a gentle, still consciousness of meditation in which truth is revealed to you. And He takes you into the path of righteousness, into the right hemisphere of the brain. That's like where they sit at the right hand of God, at the right hemisphere of the brain, for His name's sake. In other words, in the way that God has ordained people to live. Okay? And we got that so far. You with me? I hope you are. I wanted to ask you a favor. Well, let me tell you first about the church. The Christian Village Church, and we teach this stuff all the time, and you don't have to believe anything. How are you going to believe anything? You know, let me tell you something. People say you got to have faith in Jesus. Did you ever hear people tell you, you got to have faith in Jesus? Do you know something? Let me tell you something. Jesus was surrounded by 12 guys. He told these 12 guys, he said, fellas, I'll tell you something. I'm going to get killed, but on the third day, I'm going to rise again. You know how many of those guys showed up for that resurrection? Not one. Zippo. Nil. Nobody. I mean, one guy could at least snuck up with a pair of binoculars, you know, and say, hey, let's see if this... Not one. That's how much faith they had. So here, 2,000 years later, you're going to have faith? What's that mean to have faith? I'll tell you what it means to have faith. Somebody says, hey, this is a good doctor. You go to the doctor takes care of you. Hey, he's good. Go to next time, he does another good job. Now you start having faith in him, don't you? You go to automobile mechanic. Fixed my car, man. Didn't charge me a lot. Really a good guy. You go back, he did it again. You start to have faith in him. And you say to people, well, you go to this auto mechanic, man, I got a lot of faith in this guy. You go to this doctor, I got a lot of faith. Why? He was recommended to you as having integrity. You tried it. It benefited your life. Something good started to happen. You developed faith. That's exactly what you do with Christ. You don't have faith in Him unless you do what He said. He's telling you, try me. If your eye be single, your body will fill with light. Try it. You take away the key of knowledge because you don't enter within yourself. Try it. Okay? Let yourself find the kingdom of God within you. When you go in, you'll see that your life will start to get better, and you'll start to have faith. That's what having faith is about. You can't have faith in anything unless you've tried it. As people say, have faith in Jesus, yet not one of them I ask. I said to them, Christians, I says, you ever practice the single eye? No. You ever enter within yourself? No. You ever separate from thought? No. You ever cast your energy to the right hemisphere of the brain? No. And then they say they have faith in Jesus. They don't do a doggone thing the guy said. Okay. The valley here. So we got that pretty much down. And let's just real quick what we've done so far. Okay? Frank, come on over to the board. The Lord is my shepherd. We define the Lord. The Lord manifests within you as the higher mind. There is no person inside of you. It is the manifestation of the higher mind coming into activity. That's the Lord. So the Lord is my shepherd means the higher mind will guide you. You shall not want, because when you reach the point of the higher mind, there is no desire because there is no thought. He makes you to lie down. That means meditation. In green pastures. Green is astral consciousness, and pastures is food, so you begin to understand that there you have astral consciousness when you rise above the thoughts of the mind, and you are fed truth. Okay, leads you beside still waters means a gentle consciousness in deep meditation in which truth is revealed to your higher mind that will come down to your lower mind. He leads you in paths of righteousness, that means in the right hemisphere of the brain, for the name's sake, which means the way that God has ordained people to go from the most ancient times. All right, let's come back. It says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Now, I'm going to have to kind of erase this stuff, and I hope you can remember what we've done so far, but we got to put this other stuff on. We're going to do this. Yea, though I walk through the valley. Okay, what's a valley? A valley is opposite to the mountain. And the mountain is when you're on a higher consciousness, so the valley is the carnal mind. It's the lower consciousness. That's the valley. And yes, we do. All of us walk through the valley, because we're all walking through the carnal mind. And the valley of what? Of the shadow of death. Now that's fear. That's fear. And I guess there's the culprit. If there was ever a culprit, there it is. So though I walk, and we all experience the lower mind, the carnal mind, and we walk through the valley, that's in the lower mind, we are constantly in fear. It's either of death, it's sickness, it's afraid of this, we're afraid of that, the tax collector, the government, the law, whatever it is. And come back here. I walk through this. In other words, even though I am still a carnal person, I dwell in the carnal mind. I dwell in this place of fear, even though I will fear no evil. Why? Because you'll know. And the reason you know is because in this place of righteousness, you start to activate brain cells of the right hemisphere. And so you lose fear, because now you're thinking with cells that heretofore were dormant. See? So why does this happen? What does it say? I will fear no evil because you are with me. Thou art with me. Say, where? Is he standing at your side? No, he's within you. Now, when you say he's within you, remember, it's the manifestation of the higher mind. So you can say it's within you. It's within you. You can rise and touch it. You can be a part of it. Say. Because what this whole thing is, as the electromagnetic areas of your brain, all the circuitry reacts to this meditation, it starts to illuminate and give you new wisdom, new understanding, and it's all a very natural process. So within you, in other words, it's always within you. It's not in a church. It's not in a pastor. It's not in the Bible. It's not in the Psalm. It's not in a prayer. It's in you. And your mind activates. Don't listen to all this junk of people saying, oh, you'll open your mind to demons. Get lost with that stuff. Tell these people, get lost with that stuff, demons and junk. The only demons you got are your thoughts. And their thoughts are full of that stuff. You don't want any part of that junk. Don't even mention that around your house, demons and devils and hell and all that junk. Mention Jesus and peace and love and healing and all that stuff. That's good stuff. Don't mention all that religious junk about demons and all that stuff. Now let me tell you. You are with me. What's it say? Your rod and your staff comfort me. Rod and staff. Okay? The rod is the discipline that you use when you'll take time out and forget what they, whoever the heck they are, whatever they think. Stop worrying about what they think. Discipline yourself. Be a disciple of Jesus Christ. Enter within and meditate. That's his rod. That's, in other words, the discipline. And the staff is that which supports you. Supports you. Okay. So then, your carnal mind, even though you are still a carnal person, and even though you're walking through the carnal mind of fear, you're not gonna fear. because you know that you have access to the holy place by going up into the higher mind. The rod, that means disciplining yourself into meditation, will support you and lead you, and the staff supports you when you start to get weak and think you're going to fall. That's what you lean on, and they comfort you. And it's a wonderful comfort because you don't have to depend on what anybody said. I mean, you don't know what anybody's telling you is the truth. You don't know what I'm telling you is the truth. You got to try it. I tell you chocolate ice cream tastes good. How do you know about it? Man, all you got to do is open up that jaw of yours and touch that tongue with a little chocolate ice cream and say, woo, he's right. But not until you taste it can you be sure. And that's what you got to do here. You got to have the guts enough to obey Jesus Christ and tell them, pack off. And when you're ready to do that, and you come against the whole traditional concepts, and you stand straight with Jesus Christ in this Bible. Now look what it says here in verse 5. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Here we go. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Who are your enemies? Your enemies are your thoughts. That's the only enemies you'll ever have. Your own thoughts. They scare the pants off you. They make you angry. They get you depressed. They make you fearful. The only thing in there, that's what did that, not Abraham Lincoln, President Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt says the only thing you have to fear is fear itself. Your enemies are your thoughts. You anoint my head with oil. You know that people stick oil on your head? I mean real oil. They take a jar of motor oil and pour it on your head and think you're getting holy. That's ridiculous. That's superstition. Oil means spirit. You anoint your higher consciousness. That's what the head means, the higher consciousness. With oil means the spirit. The spirit touches your higher consciousness. My cup runneth over means you begin to become filled with understanding and goodness and wisdom. And then it says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Now, where's the house of the Lord? Hebrews 3:6. You are God's house. Do you know what that means? Bum, 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 bum. Reincarnation. Hey, wow, you'll live forever. What do you want to do? Live in a puff of smoke somewhere up around a cloud? You want to do that. You want to be a body. Maybe you get a nicer one than you got now. You say, well, he's saying you could come back. And Jesus Christ said, hey, see that John the Baptist? That's Elijah. Took him a little while to get here, but he's here. He arrived. He made it. Why can't you? I will live in the house of the Lord forever. Hebrews 3:6 says your body is God's house. That means you'll have a body, but you will dwell in it not in the lower carnal mind. You will dwell in it in communion with the higher mind, that which is the Lord. You'll find the Lord when you understand the word Lord in the Bible means your higher mind. And when you go up, you're going up to heaven. When you go up, you're going up to the upper room. You ascend upward into the higher consciousness and you touch the hand of the Lord, which means you touch that which is the higher mind. Psalm 23. Pretty neat, wasn't it? I think it was nice. Gives you a little place to go, man. You can really get involved in this stuff.